Okie dokie. So everyone is emailing me saying, hey, check out this EXCALIBUR thingy. It's an add-on for Premiere that makes Premiere easier. Apply effects, presets, transitions with your fingers on the keyboard. Modified Premiere commands, complicated combinations, keyboard shortcuts for everything above. It's great. Is it great? Yes. I like it. However, there are some limitations and things it can't do that I wish it could do. I have gotten into the Premiere API and I've tried to make my own panel. I can't figure it out. And what I've always wanted somebody to do is just take all the API stuff and just let me put shortcuts on them. And that's what this is. However, it's got issues. So for example, I have it assigned to Control Spacebar to open the thing. You may notice how long that took. How long did it take? Let's time it. I don't know, what was that, like 2-3 seconds? That is unacceptable. I will never be using this feature where I make the text box pop up and I type something in and I press enter because it takes too damn long. By default, it's on Alt Space, which is an awful, awful shortcut you should never use. Stay away from Alt when it comes to shortcuts because Alt is a menu accelerator in Windows and it's impossible to turn that off, even in the registry. I even have a script that is exclusively devoted towards nullifying Alt menu acceleration. Use Control Space or something. And then you can type in, you know, like remove transitions, remove, enter, they're all gone. However, the undo, yeah, you have to undo them one at a time if you decide that that's not what you wanted. I think he's gonna fix that. He said something about that in an email that I got. Well, okay, fine. The text box is slow to open, making it effectively useless. Does that mean EXCALIBUR is useless? Fortunately, no. You can go up here, Window, Extensions, EXCALIBUR Settings. Wait for that to load. And in general, you can assign a shortcut to the opening of this panel. Mine's Control-K. But in here, we have a whole bunch of commands that don't exist in vanilla Premiere. For example, I can put presets and effects onto a custom keyboard shortcut, which is fantastic. At least in theory. In practice, it can be very slow, but I'll get into that later. And if that's not enough control, which it's not, I can actually make custom user commands. And here's the difference. For example, let's say that I want a keyboard shortcut for constant power. Constant power. I can assign a shortcut to that audio transition. I'm gonna say Control-Shift-T, all right? Oh crap, it's already, wait, is there not an undo button? Ah, okay, he's got to fix that. That's annoying. Okay, well, fine. We're just gonna do it. Constant gain or constant power, whatever. Control-Shift-T. Let's say that I've got that shortcut there. Guess what? I'm not able to affect the length of that transition. There's no option right here to do that, which means that it's going to use my default transition duration for audio transitions, which is a paltry. Oh, that sucks. It puts up the text box? I was gonna say, which is a paltry like 6 frames. Yeah, apply transition. 7 frames. Okay, it's a paltry 7 frames. And that is set here in the preferences panel. There you go. That's the setting. And in Premiere, you're only allowed 1 default transition duration for video and 1 transition duration for audio transitions, and that's it. And that's stupid. So again, let's go back into EXCALIBUR. By the way, my shortcut visualizer is not always accurate. This should say EXCALIBUR on here, but I haven't updated it yet. Anyway, what we can do is instead of that, I can create a user command. Go to add user command. Let's call this super long fade. And then you click add command, and from here you do constant power or constant gain. You know what? I honestly don't know the difference between these, and it never seems to have mattered. Let's just choose constant power. Now I can set. So let's make this something absurd. 200. Why not? And unfortunately, if I do that, I cannot use any of these 4 options if I did want to use them. I suspect that's just a limitation of the Premiere Pro API because the API sucks. So I'm going to have to choose this one, hit 200, say add command, and oh, actually we're done. That's the whole command. And now, here it is. Yes, now I can add the shortcut that I wanted. I think I'm all good now. Say OK. And now, doing it this way, and I hit Control-Shift-T, guess what? It goes straight on there. It works perfectly, and I don't have to wait through the stupid text box. Because, again, it's way too frickin' slow. And all the marketing material says that this text box is super great, and you can do all sorts of interesting things with it, but I don't care because it's too slow for me. And fortunately, I can just do everything through user commands or by putting keyboard shortcuts directly onto certain commands. This command here does not require the text box to open. This will just happen immediately, and I love the fill frame command. But it's not entirely clear how all of these work. One of my big feature suggestions is that I would like for commands that open the text box to use a different color, or maybe they should be in italics or bold or something to distinguish them from the commands that don't need the text box. This one does not need it, and this one does. Right? And this one I use all the time, and this one I never use. Yeah, so now I've got my long fade at 75 frames duration, and my super long fade at 120. Wait, I thought I set that to 200. Super long. Super long. Not bad. What happens if I try to do it on a whole bunch? Control-Shift-T. Is it going to go? Hey, it did it all right at once. Let's undo. Oh, it was a two-step procedure, but it works. Cool. But sometimes applying a preset or an effect to multiple clips can be really slow. So let's try it. Control space, and we wait. Say 90 IRE. That's my preset. Press enter, and now we wait. For a frankly unacceptable amount of time. That has to be 100 times faster for me to ever use it. If I'm doing it on just one single clip, it can be worth it. Now I want to show you how I do this with auto hotkey, which is way faster. So highlight, hover over it, because it won't work if my cursor's over here, but hover over it, press one button, and they all go at the same time. And I can undo them all at the same time. Because like what my auto hotkey script does is it literally like presses the shortcuts to highlight this panel, and then it goes like Control B, that's right, and then it types in that name, and then it will move the cursor to the panel because it knows where it is because I have Windows API integration. It'll go click here, it'll drag it over, it'll apply it. It does all of that very quickly. Watch again. Very fast. I want Excalibur to be great, but if it's super slow when applying to multiple clips, that's not okay. Future Terran here. In this clip, I've already updated to Excalibur 1.0.1, and applying certain effects is much faster now. What you just saw was a crop effect preset. However, when I try a Lumetri preset, it's still really slow. So will Lumetri always be super slow to apply when you're trying to put it on multiple clips? And are there other effects that are really slow to apply? I don't know. These are my greatest Premiere macros right here. These four. All it does is I hit scale, and then I can move the mouse, and I can change the scale. And even if I hold Control, it'll go slower. If I hold Shift, it'll go faster. You don't really need that for scale. Let me move this stupid thing out of the way. Right, so here's another clip. I don't even need to select the clip. Literally don't even need to select it. It'll do that for me. Hit rotation, watch this. Very simple. Rotation, move the mouse. And I can use Control to go slower. I can use Shift to go faster. You don't need to do that for rotation. And when I release this key, the cursor returns to here. I did that slowly, but I can also do it fast. Right? It's very quick. Undo that. Anchor points work the same way. Anchor point. See? And I don't have a macro to change the position coordinates because I just click and drag on the program monitor to do that. So this panel, the effect controls, has to be visible for this to work. Because all it's doing is it's just teleporting the cursor directly to the hot text for me. And here's another thing that it does for me. if I want to rotate this image by 180 degrees, I can just hit rotation, hit 180, and it's flipped 180 degrees. Oh my gosh, how did I do that? I just made it so that if I tap it, it'll actually highlight the box for me. See? Tap that, or I tap scale, or I tap vertical or horizontal. Those ones aren't so useful because I don't know what those numbers are. But for something like scale, you're always starting at like 100, right? So I can do scale and I can say 120, bada bing, bada boom, it just works. Compare that to Excalibur. So rotation, what does that command do? Let's find out. Getting that window up is slow. Let's say 180, enter. Okay, we don't want to have to wait for the stupid text box to appear because it's too slow. Let's try creating a new user command, and let's say rotation to 180. Okay, add command, rotation. We're just going to do this all ahead of time. Rotation 90. Oh, wait. Oh, add to value. Let's actually add to value. Why not? Rotation, add 90 degrees. Let's just do shift end. Yeah, why not? Okay. All right, so shift end. That's not bad. That's really fast. Look at that. See? Now that's a great command because it's fast. It's not an enviable position that he's in. Ivan's the developer. Making this work for like all the different hardware that that you might encounter out there in the wild, and all the different systems, like different configurations, different settings, like that's an unenviable task. Okay, here's another thing that I find disappointing about Excalibur. Notice how this effect does not have a name next to it. Whereas the way that I built the preset, if I just grab it and put it on manually like my script does, see, it leaves it smaller, and it's got the name on it. So like I don't know if that's fixable in the Premiere API, SDK, whatever it's called. If not, like it just sucks because you're working with whatever Adobe's going to give you. Solo lock tracks. I don't know how this works. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, control period. What does this do? I don't know. What is it doing? First of all, unacceptable. Oh, hey, the audio tracks all locked at the same time. I was going to say it's an unacceptable amount of delay having to wait for every single one of these to lock. But for whatever reason, it doesn't happen on the audio tracks. It sucks that the SDK is just, like I've been in there. It's not great. It's not great. And my AutoHotkey script is so much faster. So I'm just going to use that instead. So here's the question, dear viewer. Should you be using AutoHotkey rather than using Excalibur to apply presets to all of your clips and so on with keyboard shortcuts? Well, only if you know how to script. Because even though all of my code is free, publicly available, downloadable from GitHub, and you can do anything you want with it, you're gonna need to know how to make it work for your own system. Because, for example, even at the most basic level, this is built for a 4K monitor at 100% UI. That is a rare combination. Most people are going to use 150% UI or maybe 125%. And these numbers down here, for example, were very specifically tailored to work with my monitor and the relative positions of things, which is why I have all these message boxes that are telling me variable numbers, because this is the only way that I personally know how to debug a script, is to put a little message box in there or a tooltip or something. And then I'll keep rerunning the script and reloading it, redoing everything until I get the positioning just right, until it actually works. So if you don't know how to do at least that, you're never going to get the script working. So turnkey solutions like Excalibur are so much better for most people. Almost everything I have here is faster than Excalibur, but it's a huge pain in the ass for you to set it up as a random person. Okay, let's talk about things that I like. You can make your own presets. These user commands, these are fantastic because you can do more than one thing. You can just keep adding more commands onto the bottom. And you can also add, I think, a regular keyboard shortcut of like, let's say I know that like Control Shift. Yeah, oh, it even tells me what it is. Oh, that's great. So the fact that you can make your own presets that are multi-staged with keyboard shortcuts for other commands that don't already exist in here, that's fantastic. But I'm already doing that in auto hotkey, so that isn't so important for me, but for the typical user, that's really good. Mic is always falling down. I really got to improve the way that this is mounted. Oh, also, this is interesting. There's like garbage mats in here. Garbage mats. This, if you don't know about this, this is an effect that Premiere used to have. It's considered an obsolete effect. They delisted it in the effects panel list, but it's still in the program. So if you had a preset, for example, it would still work. And here they are again. They're back. So if you like these, you can have them back. That's pretty cool. I also found something weird, which is hold, horizontal hold, vertical hold. I also don't know what threshold is either. I think this is like something heralding back to the CRT days. It's so bizarre. This is what it does. This is it. It's so weird. It just unstretches it all the way until it reaches normal and then it's done. Because it's in the API, EXCALIBUR has access to it. Whatever. Sure, why not? Something I really like is, like, it's so simple. If I hit X, that's the fill frame command in Premiere. But now with EXCALIBUR, if I hit Control-Shift-F, that is fill the entire frame. As you can see, it's right up against the edges. Oh, that's just beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I use that every day now. And now for some feature suggestions, which I've been making this whole time, but whatever. By the way, one annoying thing about the keyboard shortcuts in EXCALIBUR is that if you already have a shortcut assigned in your regular keyboard shortcuts panel, EXCALIBUR will not allow you to change it here. You actually have to go, you have to say cancel, you have to go to your keyboard shortcuts panel, and then in this case, I'm looking for Control O, which is open project. Actually, I've literally never used that shortcut, so I'm just gonna kill it anyway. You have to check in here first. And so I'll always check here first, especially because it's visual and that makes it just so much easier. And then I will go into EXCALIBUR and assign something there. I find that annoying, but I don't think that he should fix it because I think there's much more important things to do. And it's probably just a quirk of how add-ons work that you can't like really do it through the traditional keyboard shortcuts panel. You have to have your own panel. So, whatever. It's just a thing to be aware of. And now for the final feature request, and I mean final. Ivan, the developer, if you're watching this, don't do this. Unless everything else is already done, and you've got nothing else to do, which will never happen. But this would be super cool. Basically, it's stupid to have to go through keyboard shortcuts. The philosophy behind the Stream Deck, and why I like it so much, is that you don't need keyboard shortcuts. The point is that it's integrated directly into these programs. You can just send commands directly. Going through a keyboard shortcut is messy. It results in crosstalk sometimes with the way that the modifier keys interact with each other. Sometimes if you're just sending like a single shortcut, you might send a letter to just some random text box. The best thing to do is to send direct commands. And because my neural brain-computer interface doesn't work, and that tech is still, I don't know, 50 years away, the next best thing is the function keys. These will never send a letter or symbol or number. They are just functions. And what we need in computing, I swear to God, I'm not joking, is 10,000 function keys. 10,000. Because just a program like Premiere has, I did the math, there's 1,053 possible commands that you can assign a keyboard shortcut to. And there are only 676 possible combinations that you can do with Control, Shift, and Alt. And they don't even have all the shortcuts that I want. I want hundreds more, okay? Now, it would be insane to assign a shortcut to every single command, and you don't need that. Most people don't need that. Only I would ever want something like that, but I would want it because I want to be able to send any command in certain orders as macros and stuff, which is what EXCALIBUR does, actually, which is great, you can send a whole string of commands, right? But because we don't have 10,000 function keys, and they only go up to F12, comma, just kidding, they go up to F24, most keyboards don't have them, because they don't go up to F10,000, what I've had to do is when building these keyboards, to make sure that they never, ever send L or 7 or anything else, it will wrap these regular keys inside of one of the extended function keys. This one is wrapped in F23, and this one is wrapped in F24. And no application is able to handle that other than AutoHotkey, because I set it up that way. But that's fine, because then I use AutoHotkey to listen for those, block them, and then send whatever actual command that I want. For this reason, I have too many commands. Even if EXCALIBUR's preset command, where I can assign any preset to any keyboard shortcut, even if that worked perfectly, I still would not want to give up my AutoHotkey scripts, because I would have to come up with additional keyboard shortcuts that I don't have. I have run out. Look, I'll show you. Literally, the entire first layer of the keyboard is almost entirely full. These ones are using AutoHotkey. This one is the only one that's available. Barely. Control, most of these are used. These ones are now being used for EXCALIBUR, Control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. I've just got a couple more left. The numpad is always weird. These ones are also already being used by AutoHotkey. Control Shift, there's some are available. Control Shift Alt, some are available. Control Alt has the most available. Shift Alt is just freaking weird. Look, Alt and Shift are weird modifiers because they don't actually block the keystroke. Like Alt Shift S still lets an S through, which is a major problem. So you want to really pair almost everything with Control if you want to guarantee that that keystroke never gets sent. The feature that I want from EXCALIBUR is the ability to use an extended function key as a modifier key. I'd want it to be F22, but it should be like user selectable, which is maybe even more of a pain in the ass. Because right now, EXCALIBUR does support the extended function keys. It supports F13 to F24, but they're just single keys. That's all that they do. So this key right here, for example, this is the flip preset. This key literally is F23P. That's it. F23P. Only AutoHotkey knows what to do with that, which is, oh, that's the flip preset. I'm going to type in a bunch of things to get over to the effects panel, type in flip, and then move the mouse and drag it over, right? If I move this into EXCALIBUR, I would have to change it to something like Control-Shift-Alt-P. But that's already being used. And this one would have to be Control-Shift-Alt-O, or maybe just Control-Alt-O. But those are also being used. So I don't have any keys. Some of them I could do it, but some of them I can't. I'm out of keys. So if EXCALIBUR supported the extended function keys to be optionally used as modifier keys, that would be awesome. But that's kind of a pipe dream. But it would be very cool. Literally only I and a couple of other extremo peoples like me would ever use that feature the way that I've described. Most people would just be very confused. EXCALIBUR, totally worth it. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I want to encourage stuff like this. Some slowness, some serious problems, but what is there right now is still totally worth it. So it'll probably continue to improve, and it'll be even more worth it in the future. Okay. Bye.